Hey everyone, before we begin this video, I just wanted to make a little disclaimer. That being, I won't be able to post as frequently, mostly because I'm going off to college very soon and I'll be very busy with that. This obviously isn't the end of the channel or whatever. Planet Zoo is and will still be one of my main hobbies, but I probably won't be able to crank out content like I've been doing these past few months. So I just ask that you all be patient like you have been, and please don't unsubscribe. I'm a teenager first and a YouTuber second. Now on to the video. Hello everybody, Wyatt Andrews Workshop here, and welcome back to yet another episode of Orewell Zoo. Like I mentioned in the little disclaimer, this is about as frequently as episodes are going to be coming out, just because I'm becoming increasingly busy, but, we talked about that already. So now we are back in front of the Flamingo exhibit. If you'll notice, last time we were here, it's changed a whole lot, even all the way down to the species of flamingo we have in this exhibit, because before it was the in-game greater flamingo, but we downloaded the Flamingo Pack by Leaf and a few others, and now they are American flamingos. And then we also downloaded the Magpie Goose. I forget who this is by. I thought it was by Bongo, but it's by somebody else. I'll put it up. But yeah, both of these mods look absolutely incredible. I'm not too sure why I changed it to American Flamingos. I guess I just wanted something pinker, because, that's sort of what you imagine when you think about flamingos, not the sort of a lot whiter, greater flamingos. But among actual physical changes in the exhibit, we sort of scraped out a lot of the big trees that were kind of obscuring the views of the guests, so now it's just like completely drenched in sunlight. And then perhaps most notably the mud wall that we put on the back half of the exhibit, technique invented by Mario as always. But we've been spreading this literally all over Orewell Zoo. You'll notice with what we have coming up, it has been an extremely sort of prevalent design choice throughout the zoo since he discovered it. And then I've also been putting up these little "Do Not Feed the Animals" signs in front of exhibits where you would assume guests would have access to throw their grilled cheese sandwich down here and kill the flamingos through food poisoning. It's rather unfortunate, but I think another reason I picked the American flamingo over the greater one was because you could have a wider selection of birds in here. You'll notice at zoos, whenever there's a flamingo exhibit, there's almost always, or not almost always, but in a lot of ones you see, like at the San Diego Zoo, there'll be a ton of different other species of waterfowl mixed in with them, and I just felt like it would be more appropriate to have sort of magpie goose are from Australia, but I'm also thinking of adding swans and a few other species of duck in here when I install the mods. I just sort of want a more diverse set of waterfowl to go along with the flamingos, sort of like the yard at the San Diego Zoo. There's like almost 10 different species of bird in that one, I think. And then turning around, we're not going to look at this today because I still haven't changed the interior since December. I'm probably actually, because there's like a little bit of an interior in there, but I'm actually not really happy with it. I'm probably just going to start from scratch in terms of the inside, but you'll notice I did add a little bit of an extension, and now if you look from above, it's like twice the size, because we're going to have like 70 different species of reptile in here, so, I want to make room. But yeah, again, we're not looking at that today, because we are coming down the path to the giraffe viewing. So this isn't the only thing we're looking at, don't worry. But we finally added an interior to this giraffe barn after like months of just leaving it completely empty. And that was actually the plan. We were just going to leave it empty. But I don't know. It was kind of open and you could like see the empty interior. Unlike something like the elephant barn where all the doors are closed, and I'm probably not going to do an interior for that one. I don't know. I might feel pressure to do it now that I've done this one, but whatever. We have an interior in here now. So this is the giraffe viewing. We have a little donor plaque here. You have doors, and then over here, that's kind of a spoiler for what else is in this exhibit. We have wildebeest, giraffe, and ostrich, and I made signs for all of them, or I made one sign and then just changed the name in the sign, or the animal. And this was directly based on the Henry Dorley Zoo's signs in their Africa section. And yeah, I think they came out really, really well. This is the first time I've used or actually no, because I used them in the Indomalaya signs, but this is another instance of me using the font pieces to make the little lines of text, and I think it looks way better than like either using gutters or the brackets, which are both either too wide or just kind of funky to deal with. These look very clean, I think. So yeah, turning around, this is the interior where the giraffes, wildebeest, and ostriches are kept. I have no idea if this is realistic. Um, I looked at giraffe barns specifically. I'm not really sure where the wildebeest would be kept. I might, if anyone knows like what they're doing, please rip this apart because I don't assume this is realistic. This is mostly just for the giraffes. I would need something else in here for the wildebeest and ostriches to use, but I still think it looks good. It's a nice like sort of placeholder for if I'm ever gonna change this. I really like how the food cages came out for the giraffes, and I love I put this ostrich here just for people to, or just for the sort of it's to make it feel more alive. For some reason, it can't like move, but I guess that kind of works since it's just gonna stay here and sort of look at the guests through the glass. And I feel like I mentioned this, but this was directly based on the one at the Houston Zoo. They have like you come in here and there's like a glass viewing into the giraffe barn, and it looks really really neat. But that's not all we're showing off today. We're gonna come through here around the clock tower. You'll also notice I created a new trash can for Orewell Zoo. Before, let me find an old one. It's outdated. There's one. So yeah, this was one I made for Orewell Zoo specifically. I've used it in a few others, but this is the one I made for Orewell Zoo, and it's a little big, and I don't really like the Australia like circle thing I used for like the hole in the trash can. I thought it was really clever when I made it, but I think this looks a lot better. It is. I forget who made it. I'll put it up, but it's based on the ones at Disneyland and just Disney parks in general. It's a workshop item. Somebody else made it, but I changed the color and then added this little recycling sign, and I think it looks way better than what we had here before. So yeah, you'll notice that sprinkled around. But the main point of this episode is to show off the brand new US Bank Africa Pavillion. Woo! So, I don't know if I want to zoom out just yet, but we completely redid the giraffe and meerkat exhibits, as well as the little building between them. All of that is gone. Like, the layout is more or less the same, but I completely bulldozed and redid it. I evened it, so to speak. But yeah, I just wasn't happy with it. And it wasn't even bad. Like, I still really like the old giraffe exhibit, but I just thought I could do better. And this project is very iterative. You'll notice I just sort of redo things if I like vaguely don't like them, like I did with the exhibits in the Indomalaya section, like with the tapirs and the dholes. I just like vaguely their vibes were off. They felt off to me, and I just ripped them open and put new stuff in to what I was until I was like fully happy with it. So that's probably why I won't be finishing Orewell Zoo until the sun falls out of the sky, because I'll just be redoing everything over and over. But I want this to be like my sort of magnum opus, so to speak. So I want it to be perfect. But yeah, this is the brand new Africa Pavillion. We have a brand new archway in here. I freaking love this archway. It's based on the one at the Henry Dorley Zoo. You'll notice the Henry Dorley's African grassland section, I think it's called, coming up a lot. Is because that's sort of the prime example of a like ultra modern African savanna area. And I actually utilized a brand new method of reference for this area. Before I built anything, I looked on Google and sort of went to my favorite Africa sections. So like Henry Dorley, Cincinnati, Columbus, Akron Zoo has a really nice exhibit for lions that I looked at a lot. I guess San Diego Zoo Safari Park a little, but just sort of my favorite. Oh yeah, Zoo Atlanta, Maryland Zoo, all kinds of stuff, basically. But yeah, that's sort of what we have in terms of reference, and there were like 40 or 50 reference images. And if I wanted something like, oh, this archway, like use that, or like, ooh, I like the layout of this lion exhibit, or ooh, I like the sort of viewing awning for this hippo exhibit, we just sort of threw them all together in a folder, and I just stared at that while I built, and it did wonders for the aesthetic of this area. I'm definitely going to be using that method going forward, because it was a huge help in sort of establishing a sort of visual consistency, or just like an overall visual style for the Africa Pavillion. So yeah, this archway based on Henry Dorley, and then we will go through it. And this is the brand new Savannah Yard for giraffes, ostriches, and blue wildebeest. I am over the moon about the changes I made here. God damn it! I thought I had everything patched up, but I forgot to fence this area. But they can't escape, so just don't look at it. But yeah, this is the brand new Savannah Yard, 3 species in total. I added the blue wildebeest because it was just feeling a little bit empty before with only 2. So I added the wildebeest, and yeah, more sort of taking cues from Henry Dorley. This sort of layout with the little amphitheater and this big restaurant building in the back was directly ripped from that. Adjust the lighting a little more. There we go. But yeah, really love how this came out. I've continued my use of these signs. They're just the same ones from before. And I really love how like new the landscaping feels. Like there's all of these like sort of cleanly separated shrubs, and then all of these saplings kind of sprinkled about that would definitely be growing out in the future. But I just like using that to make an area feel new or refurbished. And then we get our second exhibit over here. This is for chimpanzees. I just wanted chimpanzees. I think they're cool. It's kind of a nice transition between the Primate house and the Gorilla Canyon and the Savannah area. Or it's not so much a Savannah area, but the main focus is the Savannah, so I think this is sort of thematically appropriate. And this climbing structure is actually not mine. I usually make my own, but this is by Lucas070 on the Steam Workshop. He is quickly becoming one of my favorite creators in this game. His I forget what his zoo is called. I think it's not Woodland Park, because that's a real zoo, but I'll put it up. It's incredible. It's freaking incredible. You have to check it out. It's definitely one of the best zoos I've seen. But yeah, he made this climbing structure for his orangutans and put it on the workshop, and I kind of edited it a little. I just sort of made it smaller, and I added this platform up front of the glass so guests can see the chimpanzees. But they're using it super frequently, which is nice, probably because of the platforms. They're actually sleeping on it, which is really cool. And then, yeah, this sort of cliff canyon layout was based on the one at the San Diego Zoo for bonobos, I think. And then sort of continuing the style of the exhibit at Gorilla Canyon, I have this like sort of lower cliff bottom area where the chimps can come down, and there's like a little pond. And yeah, you get another sign for the Africa Pavillion, and then you also get an info board for the chimps, which looks really good. And yeah, I really love how this exhibit came out. So yeah, there's the Primate house in the back for context. And then we'll head back down this way, and then we'll look more at this viewing area. I think this is based on one at the Maryland Zoo, the sort of viewing canopy. I really love the metal texture, and then all of these wooden beams. It's really like sleek and visually satisfying up against sort of the clutter of the climbing structure in the background. But that's not all we have in this little subsection, because we're going to go down the stairs, and this is the Chimpanzee Gorge. So you'll notice we have a few others. We have the Predator Trails, the Rhino Ridge, the Hippo Cove, and the Giraffe Grove. We'll see those in the future. But each section, or each subsection of the Africa Pavillion has like little mini exhibits sort of sprinkled around. So here we have the dwarf crocodile, which is another African rainforest species. And I really love this little, almost like, it's pretty much a terrarium, because these guys would definitely not need any space in real life, just because they're small reptiles. They aren't like complicated. But yeah, I figure the guests, or not the guests, the staff would sort of crawl through this if they wanted to reach them or put in food or not for whatever reason because they need to eat, but just to put in food, just for general access. And then yeah, I have nothing back here. What's in this crate? It's a duck. We have ducks in the zoo now, but yeah, coming up around here we have these really cool lampposts that I made. These plaster pieces from the North Africa set I wasn't expecting to ever need or use, but when you recolor them to a sort of more naturalistic or just sort of warmer earth tone color, you get some really good opportunities for Africa theming. So, don't sleep on those. And then you get back up to the chimp viewing area. So that is the chimpanzee gorge, and then we will come back down. So yeah, we're still looking at the Savannah Yard. I'm calling the Savannah Yard A because the Rhino Ridge is going to be the second Savannah Yard. It's going to have rhinos, zebras, and a bunch of other hoofstock, and hopefully African crowned cranes if that ever becomes a mod. But I'm spoiling that because we haven't built it yet. But there's still a bunch of other stuff I'm ready to show you. So yeah, this is the Giraffe Grove, and you'll notice in the background the former Africa Pavillion, which was just Mr. Domez's carousel sort of canopy, but like made bigger and recolored, is completely gone in favor of something that I built all by myself. Yay me! But yeah, there we go. I just wanted to adjust the lighting so it hit the that little area right there. This is the actual Africa Pavillion. So yeah, like I mentioned before, it was just like a little round like picnic area, and like that's not a pavilion. What are you gonna put in there? It's just like it was just picnic benches, and it didn't serve its purpose. It looked cool, but I had a better idea. So I spent 2 straight days, like legit, like over, like I want to say over 24 hours on this roof alone. Oh, it took me such a long time because if you go on the inside, it is completely clean. I'm gonna brag about this because it took me freaking ages. And you'll notice I haven't done the interior yet because I'm completely burnt out on this building. I don't want to touch it for a little while, but yeah, it's like completely clean, like nothing is poking through because I used art shapes and like a million rectangles and half circles to get like all of the corners. It was ridiculous. I just like put on Loki like on Disney Plus, and I just got to work and spent like hours and hours and hours like getting this as clean as I possibly could. So we'll have an interior in here. We'll have like a restaurant and a gift shop and maybe like a little museum space just to sort of get that education going. But yeah, this is the Africa Pavillion so far. It looks great from the outside. People really seem to enjoy like shots of this. But that's not all we have going on this side of the sort of watering hole, because we have the Giraffe Grove. So we'll come through here, and you'll notice each like little subsection has this sort of opening. Like you have like the little post and the little animal statue on top, and then these little ropes with the lamppost sort of leading you towards whatever you're gonna see. So in this case, it is the sort of giraffe. Oh, excuse me, a little giraffe feeding hut. I figured there would be scheduled times. I actually want to put like a board with like times of day that the giraffe feeding is going on. But yeah, I really love how this came out. I want to clean up the sort of beams up top, but I don't know. It looks kind of cool. It's like a star. But yeah, you're not really supposed to pay attention to that. We've got more of these signs, and then you have the outside of it, which I think looks really cool with the thatch shade structure, and then the sort of wooden awnings poking out. I think it looks really neat. But yeah, again, that's not all we have, because we're gonna come through here to the Hippo Cove. Let me adjust the lighting again. There we go. So yeah, this is the 3rd subsection on the Africa Pavillion. You come down the stairs and you get, oh god, the ducks reproduced again. Oh god, there's so many ducklings. But yeah, this is the Hippo Cove. You have 2 hippos here. This exhibit layout was directly based on the one at the Cincinnati Zoo, and by extension the St. Louis Zoo, because they, I forget who copied who, but the layout is practically identical. They might have been like the same architecture firm, and that's why. But yeah, the exhibit layouts in both zoos are pretty much the same. It's just this sort of this awning, and then you look into the hippo exhibit from the water. It's pretty simple, but I think it's effective. And yeah, the second exhibit in the Hippo Cove is the white-throated monitor lizard. We're having an Asian water monitor mod stand in for this guy. I really love this exhibit. I love the rock work. I love the sign, of course, but it's the same as all the others. And I love this guy like basking on the rocks. It looks really cool, and I like the little logs sort of strewn about at the bottom. But yeah, we'll look at the Hippo Cove some more. Just look past freaking dozens of ducklings that have spawned since I've been away. I need to put these guys on contraceptives. But yeah, you'll notice it's really small, like, and that's pretty much how big the one at Cincinnati is. Like, it's almost concerningly small, but I have no idea how much space these guys actually need, so I'm not too worried. And they have this really neat shade structure that I brought over from the seal exhibit, and yeah, it's a very simple hippo exhibit, but I think it's effective. And then these ducks, I think they're by Bongo, but again, I'll put up whoever made these ducks. Yates. But yeah, I really like when there aren't 12 million of them, and it's just a couple like wild ducks sort of paddling around in this hippo pond. But yeah, that's the Hippo Cove. You'll notice it's the same viewing canopy as the one from the chimp area, but I like sort of change the height and like the sort of like shape or like the direction of them. I think it looks really neat. But yeah, going forward, all this stuff is pretty much unfinished, but we have one more section to look at before we keep building, which is the predator trails. So this sort of focuses on several species of the African predator. You'll notice we have a dingo up here, but it's going to be, you'll see what this is meant to represent as we go through. And I'm thinking this was sort of a lower, I don't want to say lower budget, but it's definitely jankier than the other sections. You'll notice the sort of rock work there's not as much rock work. The landscaping is very sort of minimal. And I don't know, I just sort of like the sort of apparent change in budget between subsections. But yeah, this is the African painted dog exhibit. It's very small, but I was thinking it would rotate with the other exhibit that you'll see coming up. But yeah, this is one of the predator yards. I keep forgetting. I should have written this down, but somebody made this fence. It's on the workshop. I'll put it up. And it looks freaking incredible. I love this carnivore fencing. I'm definitely going to be using it from all of my predator exhibits going forward, and maybe like going back, because I think this would look great in the Dole exhibit we have over at Indomalaya. But yeah, we have, same as Cincinnati, we have a little waterfall and then a little creek going to this pool that the dogs can play around in. And even mentioned to me that I should probably change the rock work so it sort of goes inward a little, just because that's sort of what the waterfall would do in real life in terms of like erosion and stuff like that. But I'll definitely be changing that. And we'll have, once I'm like completely done with this section, we'll do what we did in Indomalaya and have a little like full walkthrough of this. We'll maybe have a guest on for that. It'll be fun. But another thing I really love about this exhibit is the rock piles. Like, I have these huge mounds with like a ton of plants and rocks on them, and I don't know, I just think it looks really neat, especially from up high. You'll notice I have a specific rock color that I use for like the walls and like a lot of the sort of general like cliffs and stuff like that, but then I have these like brightly colored limestone boulders for like the sort of the ground rocks as opposed to the cliffs. And I think it's a really nice contrast. And then we have this like isolation / rotation yard. So what I figured they would do is when it was time to rotate, they would like put the, oh, I forgot to add doors here, but you get the idea. They would put the dogs in here, and then they would come in here, and they would have their own separate kennels. And then they would put, I'll just say it, we have striped hyenas in here. They would put the striped hyenas in here, and then they would put them in whichever yard they were rotating into. So that's sort of why the exhibits are kind of small. It's just because they would have access to both, not at any time, but like, you know, they would switch them out like every other. I don't know how the rotation schedule works, but they would switch them out just for like stimulation's sake. But yeah, this is the first yard, and you would come up this ramp and look at the dogs, and then you would come into the second yard, which at the moment is being occupied by striped hyenas, one of whom is his face is in the ground. Oh God, what the? Are you alright? You aren't looking too good, buddy. But yeah, this is the stripes are currently being occupied by the striped hyenas. They have a huge log, and then another rock pile. This guy is actually stuck up here. For some reason, he can only traverse this little bit, but the other one can sort of like come around on this side, and it looks really cool. So yeah, that is the Africa Pavillion. For now, we have all of this to fill, so we're kind of like at the halfway point for the Africa Pavillion, I'm reckoning. But yeah, here's how it all looks from above at the moment. You'll notice we have some backstage over here, but I'm not going to show that off today just because it's very unfinished, because it's going to hook up to the back end of what is going to be the Himalayan foothills section of Orewell Zoo. We're going to have like rhinos and Przewalski horses and camels and snow leopards. We actually finished the snow leopard exhibit, but that's for a tutorial video I'm going to make at some point, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, here's how it looks up against the rest of the zoo. I really love like the red roofs compared to the blue roofs of the rest of the zoo. I don't know. I just think it's sort of a good juxtaposition or a nice contrast up against the rest of the sort of overall color palette of the zoo. But yeah, I'm actually still working on this. Or yeah, like there's stuff I haven't shown just because I'm still working on it. But yeah, we have the interior of the pavilion. We have we're gonna put cheetahs in the predator trails, and then we're gonna have the Rhino Ridge area. And yeah, so we'll probably have a new episode out relatively soon. Definitely sooner than the 3-week gap we had between episodes last time, which was just because I was on vacation and I was also just busy with this. So yeah, and then I don't know when I will be returning to Gold Coast Aquarium. I'm a little burnt out from that project, but I have a bunch of stuff planned for that. So, you know, stay tuned, and I'll see you in whatever comes first, and have a good one.